How you doing, guys? It's KB5MIQ Big Boy. We're going to get to talk about a few subjects today, but before we get going good, a couple things I need to mention. My condolences to Bob Hill's family. K9EID is a silent key now. As you know, Mr. Hill's been a proponent, big manufacturer of microphones and audio equipment, both ham radio and the music scene, and been supporting ham radio for a long time. I've got a couple of his mics I've used over the years. Some good stuff. Hate I never had the opportunity to meet the man, but never heard nothing but good things about him. And Mr. Hill, rest in peace, and condolences to your family. Also, Greg Lopez, our winner from 1,300 subs giveaway, KT4 RAM. Had a little issue getting his prize there. The post office kind of lost it, but finally got there, got a winner pick we're going to post on here. There's old ham radio cat getting up here in the middle of the way. All right, guys, we're going to talk about two things today that I've kind of touched on, probably going back over again, but I keep seeing these questions coming up in social media, and I've gotten into another Facebook page, Ham Radio for Beginners. It seemed like a lot of guys on there asking questions, trying to get in this hobby, and as y'all know, that was my whole purpose of this channel, is to help you guys out getting into it. So, we're going to talk about two subjects we got today, and I'm going to give you my take on them both. Alright, number one, let's see. Everyone says jump the bail thing, but never recommends anything similar. Anything for me that will be a good start and not break the bank and learn. Okay. I know these UV5Rs catch a lot of crap. They really do. I've got a couple of them. I use them. I've used them. They're not the best thing in the world. The way I look at them is that they're cheap enough that if you use it, you break it, you just get you another. A lot of guys hate them. But admit it or not, the UV5R has got a lot of people into this hobby. There's also people who've done videos where they'll take a UV5R, get on a repeater, and tell them they're talking on a Yaesu, a Kenwood, or an ICOM, and they'll talk about how great they sound. And then they'll take a Yaesu, Kenwood, or ICOM and get on a repeater, tell them they're on a UV5R, and they get bashed for it. So I know there's a lot of history on them for spurious emissions or whatever, but for $25 radio, I don't think you go wrong with them. Now, I'm going to tell you what I don't like about them. I can't manually program one at all. I've tried. I use chirp software to do it with, but I can't manually program one. I wished I had kept mine out of my backpack. I've already loaded my backpack in my dad's truck. I'm planning on, I got to take him to Hazel. I'm planning on going back to the Irving Ham Show tomorrow, so my Yaesu FT4X in the backpack. If you want a suggestion for a starter out, I will hate to use the word starter, but a first time HT, and all you're wanting to do is local repeater work and simplex, we'll give you a couple of choices. The Yaesu FT4X, $89 to MTC. I've got them pulled up now. He's got them in stock, 89 bucks. That's absolutely the easiest radio to manually program I've ever seen in my life. And if a boomer like me can manually program it from reading the book one time, anybody ought to be able to make that thing do anything. That's what I would recommend. A little more expensive. It's a better radio. Easy to program, and you'll look a lot cooler walking around the Ham Fest and Ham Club with a Yaesu on your hip than a Bullfang. Another one you might consider is TYT UV88. These are $40 radios, I believe. I give one of these away. I won one at MTC one time, and I give it away on the channel. This one's a brand new one. It's going to be given away at 1,500 subs on my channel now. I think they're good radios. I've never heard anything bad about them. I've had two of them. I've never took them out of the box. I've given them both away. If you're starting out and you can afford an $89 talkie, to me, the Yaesu FT4X is the way to go. All right. The next question that this guy gets hammered on, he put down, this is his RG8 or RG58 and why. Let me see if I can break that down a little bit for everybody. Coax, I'm not making light or telling you to use a cheaper grade of coax or anything like that. But what he asked there is kind of a loaded question. RG58 is the smallest 50 ohm coax that I've ever seen practically used, and it's largely used with mobile antenna applications. The reading is used with mobiles, less than a 20-foot run on the average, and less wattage radios. Works fine mobile antennas. The RG8 is the old school, about as big as your thumb, 50 ohm coax, been around forever. They've also, you get RG8X, 9913, LMR 400, Heil. There's some 213 out there, I think 213, I believe is what it is. Whatever. All of it gets expensive. Here's where you need to make the decision on your shack. Because if you ask what coax to use, it's like asking what radio to buy. Whatever a ham's got, he's going to tell you that's what to use. One of the answers on this was, I use Heil on my base setup here at the house and LMR 400 mobile. That's fine. That's expensive, but that's fine. I'm not knocking that. But guys trying to get in this hobby, we know it's fairly expensive. I'm going to give you my take on coax. Crucify me or not. Look at your shack. Look at what you're wanting to do. We're going to use my shack as an example. Only VHF, UHF stuff I do is local repeaters on FM. Alright? RG8X works for that. Everything else I do on HF is 100 watts or less, 100 foot of antenna, 100 foot for my antenna or less. So I've got a 100 foot run of coax or less, 100 watts or less on HF. I've used RG8X ever since I've been in this hobby for over 30 years, and I've never had a bit of problem with it. Here's what you get. Yes, I know RG8X is going to have more loss than, say, LMR 400. Okay? I know it is. But if you're running a shack like I'm running a shack at HF frequencies and below, and you're only running 100 watts, I guarantee you any loss you have at RG8X versus LMR 400 is not worth the cost of the difference in buying the coax. Okay, I may get crucified for saying that. I'm not trying to make a grounding lightning protection video. All I'm trying to say is you can spend the money if you want, but in my opinion, you don't have to. Now, let's qualify that statement a little bit. Say you're planning in the future to buy an amplifier. Your goal is to run a 1 kilowatt amp or 1.5 kilowatts full legal limit amp. Go ahead and invest in the better grade of coax because you'll need to. I've seen guys talk about running up to 800 watts on RG8X. I'm not saying you can, I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying you can't run full legal limit on it. But if you're going to invest the money in an amp, you want all the performance out of it you can get, and the feed line will make a difference. All right? That's all I'm trying to say. Too many people that are looking at getting into this hobby get bogged down in the cost, or I got to have the flashiest gear, I got to have the best. I'm not going to get into it till I can afford the best or whatever. 100 watts in a wire and have some fun with this hobby. Coax is a part of it. We got to have it. And I'm sure the experts' heads would explode if they knew the age of the coax I'm running. But I got cards all over the wall. I've worked every country around here that I tried to. I've never had any problem working any place I wanted to work. I just have to bust through a pileup sometimes. I worked it all RG8X Coax. Not gonna say tell you to use that. What I'm asking you to do is look at your plans in the hobby. Personally, I don't ever plan to buy an amp. I've never had a reason I felt like I needed to run an amplifier. I enjoy what I do in the hobby with the gear I've got, and I make contacts with it now. But ham radio is a constant learning process. Also, anybody that tells you they know everything about ham radio, that's probably the person you need to look out for. So I'm going to give you some price comparisons on Coax. What's up, ham radio cat? What's up? Excuse me, I'm using MTC. Okay, Cable Experts, which is good cable. Already got the ends on it. 100 foot of RG8X is $96.95. All right. Now, if you buy 100 foot of $99.13, $179. Good coax, but that's the price difference you run into in picking coax out. And since we was talking about that Yaesu FT4X a while ago, he still got them in stock, 89 bucks. So, excuse me. Guys, study what you want to do with this hobby. Do your own research. It's okay to ask questions on social media. It really is. But you're going to get lots of answers like, I'm doing this. If you don't do this, you're wrong. You need to be doing this way. Whatever. I saw a guy a while back, and I think I've referenced this before. I got $3,000 to spend on the hobby getting the station set up. What I need to spend it on? One guy said, well, that'll just barely pay for your lightning protection and grounding. You ain't got enough money to get into ham radio. Don't tell people that. That is the worst possible thing you can tell somebody. All I ask you is do some research, plan out what you want to do. I want you to get on HF. I really do, because I think you'll enjoy the hobby more, especially getting on 10 meters right now. And I'm going to close the advice out on this statement here. And I'm seeing a lot of guys, and it's probably going to get worse this year being an election year, talking about ham radio for prepping. I'm not saying don't do it. Okay. What I am saying is this. If you buy any type of amateur radio and get your license, and don't ever take it out of the box and stick it in a homemade Faraday bag and put it in a chest for a rainy day, and if the rainy day happens, you have no idea how to use it. You have no idea if it works. I want you to get into this hobby. Yes, it's good to have the stuff for emergency communications. I've done emergency communications. But you've got to learn the hobby, and you'll enjoy it. If you just end up getting into it and sticking with a talkie, you'll let your license lapse. Or if you get into it for prepping and don't ever learn it and you don't ever need it, it's just going to sit there and go to waste, and you won't do anything with it. We want you on the air, and we want you learning the hobby. And remember, ham radio is a continuous learning process. Feel free to comment me any questions. Shoot me an email. My email's on my QRZ page. Guys, we're almost at 1,400 subscribers. We hit 1,500. We're going to give this talkie away to somebody. Give a shout out to MTC in Paris. He's got some big things coming on. I think they're fixed to move to a new store. Rumor has it. I don't know what all's fixed to happen. He hadn't given out all the information yet, but he's got a ton of used gear hitting his site right now. And he's gotten into a lot of estate buying where he's getting some used gear that has used very little. So be sure and check it out. Thanks again to MFJ for trusting me to do some review videos for him. We got some more of those coming up. Like I said, my email's on my QRZ page. The info slide on here is about about our round table. We're getting some check-ins on that. If you hear us during the week, be sure and check in. Right now, I'm planning on being at the Irving Ham Club tomorrow, but this video won't go up till Saturday night. So Guys, thanks again for everything. Appreciate you subscribing to the channel and spreading the word about it. It's KB5MIQ Big Boy 73. Guys, one thing I forgot to mention, there's a new ham tuber coming up, just getting started. I think he had a channel, had some issues with it, and he's getting the channel going again. And y'all check him out, The Radio Junkie. I'm going to put a link to his channel in the description here. Thanks again, everybody. KB5MIQ Big Boy 73.